Grieving the loss of a child is what we're talking about today. How can someone surmount such a loss? Do we ever get over such a monumental loss? Welcome aboard the podcast, A Woman's Spark with Janik, a podcast to show women how powerful they are and remind them of the spark that they carry, the strength that gets us up every time we fall, a place to feel seen and understood when we don't fully have what it takes to get back up on a hard day. This podcast is to help you heal and become the best version of yourself during what we call the roller coaster of life. We are building a community of women that want to help one another and inspire each other to become stronger and more united as we were born to be. On today's episode, we'll be discussing grieving the loss of a child. Globally, around 6 million children under 15 die each year. Globally, an estimated 4.8 million children under 5 years of age die annually. This translates to about 13,100 deaths every day. In 2020, the global under 5 mortality rate was 37 deaths per 1,000 lives. Nearly half of these deaths occur in newborn within 28 days of life. The most common causes of death in this age group would be our preterm birth complications, birth asphyxia and trauma, pneumonia, diarrhea, and malaria. That data is tough to hear, but imagine being the mother or the parent who is the one losing their child, the pain it must come with, the hardship that comes along. Today, we're going to talk to one of those mothers. She's coming on this show to share her experience, to tell us how she is today, how she's dealt with it over the years. When we come back, we will welcome Jessie Legent, a mother, a wife, and a life coach. She's helped many people and women to help them achieve their goals and become the best version of themselves after losing her own son. Let's take a short break and find out more about her after this. Welcome to the Woman's Part podcast with Janik. Today we have a beautiful guest, a shining spark, and a very strong woman with us. Please welcome Jessie Legent. Welcome, Jessie. How are you?
Hi, Janik. I'm great. How are you?
Very, very good. We're having quite a tough subject today. Funnily enough, I kind of told my husband what we were talking about today, and he's like, "Oh my word, oof, what a subject!" And you know what? That's something that's never happened to me, other than with my dog, which I don't think we can compare. But at the end of the day, it is a tough subject, and I would like to leave the floor open to you so you can tell us what happened to you. What is your story?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your platform to have this conversation because a lot of people are not, it's a taboo subject. Therefore, people are not necessarily inclined to talk about it. So that is part of my mission for me to shine the light on perinatal loss because 1 out of 4 women will suffer the loss of a baby during the pregnancy, during childbirth, or early in life, which is considered the first year of life. Mm-hmm. My story started 11 years ago, being a newlywed, and we're starting our family. This was part of like us coming together. We knew we wanted to have a family. My first pregnancy ended in a miscarriage at around 8 weeks. I was devastated, and me being super type A, what do we do? I went into, okay, so we're fixing this, whatever that meant. So me really focusing on my health, going through therapy so that I could heal and just be ready for, our next pregnancy, which did happen 2 months later. I was pregnant with our son, and it was pretty much an uneventful pregnancy. It went well, but during the labor, there was a complication, which ended up with him being stillborn. So keep in mind, it's 39 weeks. I'm going to the hospital to deliver our rainbow, which is the pregnancy following a loss. So it was a rainbow. We were like super excited. And then there's a complication. And then we're being told it's too late. There's nothing we can do. So
Wow.
my world changed. Everything changed. It's like a bell that rings that you can't unring, and nothing is the same, and you're not the old version of you anymore. So from that point on, like I said, my life changed. I had to reevaluate every decision. I'm still here. Why am I still here? All my decisions, all my life choices, my relationships, my career, my values, my faith, like everything was put up to the bat of me having to look at it and really reassess, what am I doing with this? Am I going to keep it, or am I going to chuck it? Because if I'm still here, it needs to matter. It needs to count, and something good has to come out of it. So that
Absolutely.
was the
Can
the
you tell
thread.
us can you tell us what happened for your son to be stillborn? Was there a complication? Was there a sickness?
It was a complication throughout the pregnancy. I mean, he was developing well. It was a healthy pregnancy. He wasn't. There was no like underlying issue. Nothing led to believe that something like this could happen. What did happen was there was a complication with the umbilical cord, and because of that, he died in utero. So when I delivered him, he was silent. It was a stillborn. So I did have to deliver him naturally, um, because at that point there's nothing they could do, and they did not recommend for me to have a C-section. So therefore, I did have to deliver him naturally. But it was an uneventful pregnancy. He was perfectly healthy. He was fine. Beautiful baby boy. But sadly, it ended the way that it did.
And at what point did you officially know that he was it wasn't going to
Wow.
happen? Was it you said in utero, so in the process of giving birth, right?
So I labored at home. Of course, we started the labor at home, and we were timing the contractions, and it progressed quite quickly between the time that it started and then for me to get to the hospital. It was pretty much about 6, 7 hours. And by the time I got to the hospital, I was like 9 centimeters dilated, like I was ready.
And he was still
And
kicking?
he had the last time I had felt him kick was during the labor at home.
Okay.
But by the time I got to the hospital, the contractions were really intense. And once we got, eventually, we decided, you know what, we were scheduled to be at the hospital in the morning. And the contractions were so intense, we decided, no, we're just going to the hospital. So once we got there to the hospital, of course, the first thing they do, they examine you. To see how much you dilated, and that's when
Yep.
I knew, I was made aware that I was fully dilated, and that's when the next step is for them to put the monitor on the baby for the heart rate, and that's when they were like, oh, we're looking for the heartbeat and we can't find it. So that's when, once I got to the hospital, is when we got the news that, all right, this is progressing like in the wrong direction, and we couldn't find a heartbeat. So from that point, I do remember a lot of stuff. But a lot of stuff is still, it was a blur. But they did try to bring me to have a C-section, and then by that time it was really too late. And then they wheeled me into a maternity room for me to deliver, and that's when I had to wait for me to be ready, for my body to be ready to deliver him. So it was a long night, and
Oh
in the
my
morning,
God.
we did deliver our boy.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. I've never lived grieving a child,
Mm.
but I'm getting emotional. I'm thinking of
And
my children, and I'm thinking, I can't put my feet in, putting myself in
mm,
someone's shoes. I'm really sorry you went through that. I'm really, really, really deeply sorry you went through that.
thank you.
Um, what
And one
were,
thing I want
I
to
mean, you
say,
said Yes, yes, go ahead.
And one thing you want to say, because of the swell of emotion that you're experiencing right now, it just goes to show how we're not prepared.
Mm,
Nothing prepares you for this. And in order for someone to truly understand what it's like, they would have to go through it. And I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Like, I don't want you to know what it feels like
no,
because it is devastating.
I mean, I
And
think
that's
think
part of the mission of, but we do have to talk about it because once you've been through it, like, how do you cope? How do you find some
absolutely.
sense of normalcy in your life? So that's, it's normal to
How
feel this way.
how do you find normalcy in your life? How? Right?
Yeah.
I'll let you respond to that because I mean, I've lived other experiences and I can see myself finding normalcy through that, but I don't
Mm.
losing one of my daughters, I wouldn't know. So
It's
how?
really, you have to fight for it. You really have to fight for it. You're choosing to live every day. And I'm going to speak from my experience because not everyone lives it the same way.
Mhm.
But you really have to fight for, I'm choosing to be here. I'm choosing to move forward. I'm choosing to let it be a chapter in the book and not the entire book. This is
Mhm.
not your life. But at the same time, you have to grieve your child and your
Yep.
idea of what maternity would look like for you and what the future would look like because you had plans, you had a vision for that child and you love that child. The
Yep.
love doesn't go away. It's just the child is not there anymore, but the love is still there and you had all these dreams for that child. So how do you, it's a process. It really is a process. There's no like
Yeah, because there's a process to welcoming that child. You had
exactly.
probably the party before he came along and preparing the room and buying the clothes and buying the diapers and
Yes.
then you go back into that room and
Yeah.
what's the first thing you do?
And that's the thing. Leaving the hospital, I didn't have it in me to go back home. Like I could not fathom leaving the three of us
Mhm.
and coming back the two of us. And his room is ready and everything that's around the house, that's a reminder of him. It was just too much. So I had to take some time away. We stayed with family for a couple of weeks just for me to brace myself to going back to a life, a future that does not include him physically. And that was really
Yeah.
hard. Um, so
Where yeah.
how do you,
How were the well, how do you get back into the house afterwards? Well, you said you took a 2 weeks off, and how was that mental health of yours for
you,
those 2 weeks? If we just start with the first 2 weeks, because
mm,
it just doesn't stop after that, but those first two
yeah,
weeks.
great question. Now, pardon my French, it was trash. it
It's fine.
was It was a hot mess. Like
Mhm.
these 2 weeks was just, it was a blur. It was just being overwhelmed. You're still in shock. I was, and I'll speak for myself. I was still in shock. I couldn't believe like what happened. Although I understood, but here it was just, how did I get here? Like, what's this? Um, and it's an aunt of mine. She came to visit me and she told me, Jesse, you're grabbing your stuff, you take your husband, and you walk on inside that house and you go home. And that's like she's like a second mom to me. She's part of like all of my memories growing up. So this is a woman that's near and dear to me. So for her to look me in the eye and tell me, Jesse, you need to go back home with your husband. I'm like, yes, ma'am. As much as I didn't want to do it, as much as I was crying and I had 10 reasons why I didn't want to go, and I had no plans, not that I had no plans of going back, but right then and there for me to go back was not in the cards. Like I was not ready. It's just like, Jesse, I know you're not ready, but you're going. And I did go back.
Mhm.
And it was just like every milestone afterward is just hard and
Yeah.
harder. But you just have to power through and trust that. you will grow through it, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. But just walking in and just like the weight of it all was like, ugh, I don't want to do this, but I
Yeah.
don't have a choice. I have to do it. And then
Every
getting
step
up
was
the next
like
day.
a major weight on your shoulder, probably.
Yeah.
And any self-blame?
Of course, for a long time,
Hmm.
I had to sit down with the medical team to understand, okay, what happened? Because that was not part of the plan.
No.
And for me to sit in the statistics of there's less of 1% chance that this would happen, I'm like, I'm not a girl that plays a lotto. But these odds, I'm not signing up for. Like, this is
Why
no.
me, right? Why
For
me?
me, like, no.
Yeah.
And for there to be no real resolution, or there was no way to prevent this, it's not something that I did wrong, or it's not my fault. I didn't cause it. I didn't will it. I had no, it really was out of my control. And again, for someone that's really type A, very, so what are we doing? For me to be told there's nothing you could have done, that was like the second hardest blow. Like, what do you mean I can't do nothing? Like, I'm the girl that fixes stuff. Like, I'm the
Yeah.
fixer. I take care of stuff and people. I make things happen. And
That's
you
it.
telling me there's nothing to
Nothing I could
do?
have done.
Like, why am I here? Like, what's this? This sucks.
What's the life lesson behind
Yeah.
all of this, right? But that comes much later on afterwards, right? But
Yeah.
okay, so we talked about the first 2 weeks. You went to the country house, cried your life. Your aunt told you to go back home.
Mhm.
What happened?
Went back home. Um, went back home, got ready for his funeral. I was
Oh,
blessed with friends. I mean, girl, we're gonna talk
oh.
about it.
No, that's, I mean, somehow I knew you were going to say the word,
Mm,
but I didn't know you were going to say the word, you see.
yeah. Today we're
Oh,
having we're having the conversation through and through, and funeral is a part of it.
yeah.
And I was graced with friends that took that off of our shoulders for us not to have to plan his funeral.
Okay.
And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Hmm.
Um, because it was hard. It was really hard. So attending his funeral in the church where we got married a year prior, that
Oh,
was hard.
wow.
But whew, to be surrounded by people that love you, that care for you, that a year ago we were celebrating our wedding. And a year later they showed up and they sat with us. That is again something that is seared in my mind, because your network, your people, it makes a huge difference, even though they didn't know what to say, even though they didn't have the tools or the right words. They
The
just stood
presence.
there. They
The
just stood
presence
there.
is
So
everything.
I always tell people, if you don't know what to say, just say, I don't know what to say.
Hmm.
Because it's not about finding the right words, because nothing you can say will make it right. Nothing you can
Mm.
say will take the pain away. You talking about it or bringing it up is not going to jog my memory and, oh, I forgot about it, but now you're making me think about it. Trust
Hmm.
me, I think about it all day, every day,
Yeah.
especially, at that time when it just happened. So it's the people around who really makes a difference. And
Right.
when they say when you go through something, that's when you know who's really for you and who's not.
Yeah. People show their
Yes,
true colors
they really
at,
do.
at the good ones and the bad ones, but let's stick to the good ones on this show
Yeah.
because you just need those people. You just need those people when you're going through a tough time in your life. And
Yeah.
oof, my word, it must have been up. However hard it was, because I wouldn't know what that level is.
Mm.
It must have been very uplifting to have people around you to just be there.
Yes. And Although, yes, I want to focus on the positive, the
Feel
positive
free to go in the negative.
influence,
It's okay.
but there's also a lesson and there's growth in the negative impact
Hmm.
because it allowed me to really weed out what wasn't for me
Hmm.
and to really tap into my strength and who I am and what's really important for me and really getting rid of the bull crap.
Hmm.
Because I
The white
was,
noise,
yeah,
the
just
extra.
because eventually when I went back to work, um, because back then I was working in corporate, and when I did go back to work,
Mhm.
the one comment that kept coming back was, "Oh, Jessie, you're different. Like, where's bubbly Jessie?" I'm like, well, bubbly Jessie is like, she left that day. She's like,
Where?
peace out.
Wow, how that is not a lot of compassion when someone comes to you and says, "Where's bubbly Jessie?" I mean, how long how long is grieving? Is there a timer on the grieving period? I don't know. I don't know.
And
And but you know what? Those moments happen for a reason. They really weed out what you don't want anymore in your life.
exactly, I had
Yeah.
no more tolerance for being stuck in a workplace where my presence, my person was not fully honored. And not to
Hmm.
say rolling out the red carpet, whatever, but for you to have this level of disregard for what I just went through, to
Mm.
me was like, we need to pause for a minute because this is not sitting well with me. And then being in an environment where we're just having meetings to have meetings and like, I can't do this anymore.
No.
So it was really, that was whenever someone goes through like a major event, they can, there's a clear cut, like
Yeah.
before and after the event. That was the moment for me. Before
Hmm.
and after, everything changed. Who I was and everything around me. My vision for the future, my choice of career, who I'm allowing to have access to me and to stand right next to me, everything changed. And I got that clear vision that this is non-negotiable and you can't make me.
That's
You just can't make me.
it. Well, we're going to come back in a minute and really, really talk about how it's turned you into someone very beautiful and very sparkly. I look forward to discussing that part, but I have one last question before we take a little break.
Mhm.
And it's different for everyone, but how long can you say it took you to get back to some kind of normalcy because yes, we know we don't go back to being normal to who we were before, but being able to get up in the morning, get dressed, go out to work and just feel some kind of sun. I'm looking outside right now and I'm looking at the sky. When did it go from being a gray sky to a sunny sky?
That's a beautiful question. I would say I was functional. It took me about 12 to 18 months
Okay.
to be functional, like to get out of bed and have some sort of normalcy and being able to get back to work. It took me about 18 months. But for me to be able to allow myself to laugh, like I'm allowed to feel joy and for me to smile and for it to be a real smile and for it to reach
Yeah.
my eyes, that was about 2 years. And even then, I still had some guilt. Like I wasn't allowed to feel joy with him not being here.
Hmm.
But
Because we're
around two
good.
years was like, okay,
Us women were really good at smiling, even though the inside doesn't say the same. So
yeah,
that's why I'm making the difference between smiling and actually having the real sun shine and feel like you were living again.
yeah,
So 2 years,
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank
And
you
not to
for.
say that it was, it was a thing in the past and I was still facing challenges, internal and in my relationships, and how to navigate different situations. But for me to get back to more of a central line, that was, yeah, about two
Yeah.
years.
And today, 2025, April 2025, how many years has it been since your son's left you?
Hmm. So it's been 11 years. November 2025 will be 12 years.
Okay.
And things have shifted. I've grown. I mother differently because of being Zachary's mother, because he made me a mom first.
Mhm.
So it's been, we're going on 12 years.
Thank you very much for having the courage to talk, to share your journey with us today. We're going to take a short break and come back and find out more on how you powered through and became the woman you are today. So let's take a little break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Woman Spark podcast with Janik. We are back with Jessie Legent, who is telling us her story about grieving the loss of a child. She's told us how Zachary passed away 11 years ago, and she told us about all that's happened from the moment she found out about the loss of Zachary to how long it took her to grieve the process. So, welcome back, Jessie.
Thank you.
Um, we've talked about the negative, we've talked about your experience, even though it must have been excruciating for many, many years, as we were discussing before. Um, there's always some kind of positive. I'm not saying it becomes positive to lose a child, but there is always something positive that comes out of a tough situation, right?
Mhm.
So flowers grow in the shade and they become nice flowers. I would just like to know what kind of positive came out of this experience, and without never diminishing any of your
Mhm.
experience, because it's never positive to lose a child, but is
Mhm.
there something positive that came out of it?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question.
Mm-hmm.
There were many lessons from having Zachary. First and foremost, I would not be the woman, I would not be the mother that I am had it not been for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mother differently. I I take things in differently.
Could you explain a little bit what that means for you?
Yeah, before Zachary, I had this dream of being a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Since my university days, I knew I wanted to be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it wasn't as popular or mainstream as it is now. So there wasn't really a way back then for you to earn a living out of it, from it.
Okay.
So did like everybody else, whatever that means, and got my degree, got a 9 to 5, and for many years I was in corporate with the dream of one day I'm going to be a coach. When once once we lost Zachary, I couldn't pretend anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't
Pretend at
justify.
work, or
Yeah,
pretend to not do something that fulfilled you. Is that what you mean?
yeah, putting what's on your heart, your mission, your calling, putting it
Mm-hmm.
on the back burner, thinking that there's always tomorrow.
Mm.
There isn't always tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. So you can't keep delaying. You can't keep delaying. So from that, the first thing that came out was, oh, I can't keep saying one day, one day. I don't know if I'm going to have one day. I don't know. So I have to do this and I have to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, like, me embracing this and changing, going back to school and getting certified and launching my coaching practice, all of that is part of Zachary's legacy. He allowed me to be courageous enough to choose me, for me to
Mm.
choose me,
How
because
long?
I used to put people before me.
Yep.
And he allowed to no make this decision for you because this is what you are called to do. Had it not
How
been for him, I wouldn't have done that.
how long did it take you to after his death to do that, to choose you
Okay, so
officially and become a coach?
yeah. So remember when I said I'm type A and I tend to, yeah. So 3 months after losing Zachary, I went back to school.
Hmm.
Yes. And there was my husband and I, we were discussing me starting the certification process during maternity leave. But I'm like, I don't know, newborn, breastfeeding, I don't know. So then once everything happened, um, he strongly encouraged me. He's like, well, do it now. And I did. I went back. I wasn't really sure the timing was right or if it was if I was going to go with it.
Hmm.
I really didn't know, but every month for every session, I showed up. I'm like, okay, I'm here. Let's do it. And I ended up doing the entire process instead of doing it over 3 years. I did it in 14 months. But throughout the certification process, everything you learn, you apply to you first and foremost. So that
Yeah.
was part of my therapy. And I was able to practice on myself and really like take everything and reassess. So it gave me practical tools for me to work on my healing that I was already doing with a therapist.
Hmm.
But that part was like done differently. And I know that because it helped me, in the depth of devastation that I was living, I know it can help everyone because that
Absolutely.
made a difference for me.
So, if I can just rewind a little bit, I
Mm.
named this podcast A Woman's Spark.
I know, and I love it.
Can we say that Zachary, and because I know you have I can see you have a ton of spark, but
Mm.
was Zachary your spark for that change? Can we
He
see it that
was.
way?
Absolutely, he was. And that's why I
Oh,
say that's part of his legacy.
yeah,
Because
beautiful.
had it not been for him, I probably would still be stuck in my 9 to 5, feeling miserable and having the dream of one day being a coach
Mm-hmm.
and just doing the things
Mm-hmm.
when really he made the difference. My life before and after Zachary, that's it. And
Yeah.
he's that spark. Yes.
Yay. And
Yeah.
you said you mother differently. So where are you at today? What are your I'm get obviously we've discussed it, but for the listeners, where are you today?
Yes. So we've expanded our family since after the loss of Zachary. So we now have two daughters, age 7 and 5. And obviously, I mother them differently. My vision was always to be present, hands on, but even more now. And of course, finding a balance not to be overbearing and letting them having the space they need for them to do their learning and grow and just be kids, really,
Yeah.
because it's not their grief, it's mine. But at the same time, for us to integrate within the family, every night we do prayers and we send our love to Zachary. So they do know they have a big brother. Um, but as they're growing and they ask questions, I'm open to answer the questions. But right now they're too little for them
Yeah,
to
to
have like the details of it. But
fully understand it.
yeah, but my 7 year old, she's asked a couple questions like, okay, well, what does it mean? Like he's in the sky with God. Yes, he
Hmm.
is. And so she's starting to like ask questions and I welcome them and to help her understand that he's watching over her and we send our love. And yeah, they have a big brother, although he's not here.
Hmm. Can you name me three values that are now a big part of you and your mothering through that spark, Zachary's
Yeah.
spark?
First and foremost is, that's a great question. Presence. For me to be present with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And present being, meaning sometimes it's just being there and just listening. And sometimes getting down on the floor and playing with them,
Yeah.
whatever that,
Yeah. Being
whatever's needed
present.
at that time. But for me to be present and not being caught up in doing all the things, and especially as an entrepreneur, there's always something to do. There's always an event. There's always
Yeah.
something that you can do.
There's always an
And
email and a text and
yeah,
something else, and a LinkedIn, and name it. There's always going to be something. But
there's
yeah, being
always
present.
something.
Yeah.
And having my kids brings me to what's really important. If I'm going to say yes to something and leave my kids for me to do this, it better be special. And everybody knows when they send me an invitation for me to get dressed and come, it needs to be special
Mm-hmm.
because I value having my kids. Um, it's so special. It's so precious. My
Absolutely. And
journey to motherhood it was quite the journey. They're here and I want to cherish every minute of it. And not to say it's one or the other, but it helps me to decide and really stick to what's important so that I
yeah,
can be the mother that I want to be for them.
set your limits, set your boundaries, and really decide
Yeah.
what's more important for you and for
Yeah.
your kids, right? So
Yeah.
we said present,
Presence. Love.
love.
Love. It's love.
Mhm.
I I come from a family where we didn't talk about feelings, we didn't share how we felt, let alone say we love you. And for me, it's important to tell my girls I love them every day.
Mhm.
And one of my girls, she's like, whew, that girl. Like every other minute, she's like, Mommy, I love you. I'm like,
It
I love
must
you too.
exactly. I was going to say it must transpire into them, and then it comes back to you, right?
It
So yeah.
really does. It really does. And you can clearly see it. It comes like it's spontaneous. She's like, Mommy, I love you. And she's just walking around the house. I love you. I love you.
And they're
And for
just so
me,
pure at that age as
I
well.
know, I know, with the little pigtails.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really that for them to know that they are loved as is, just for who they are, and
Hmm.
for them to know without a shadow of a doubt that they are loved. We prayed for them. We are so happy they enriched our lives, and for them to grow up and that being part of who they are,
Hmm.
for them
Yeah.
to be affirmed in their identity that they are loved. Yeah.
You know what? If every parent could give that love, we'd be in such a better place.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, love is important, and it should be part of every life, but every child's life.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
Yeah.
So
We all deserve
presence,
it.
love, and
So,
drum roll.
drum roll, joy.
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 Very, very, very beautiful, Jessie. Oh,
Joy.
wow. Yes. I mean, that's it. The trifecta.
You know,
Being present, being loved, and having joy.
and having joy. And I
That's it.
mean, we're known to have dance parties in the kitchen.
Oh, cool. I love it.
Okay. And bath time is like filled with like laughter and sometimes overstimulation, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
And then a lot of dancing too. And I mean, it's something that we do. And even at the end of the day, when you don't have energy and you just want to put the kids to bed, you
Yeah.
put on a good song and you just dance it out. And that's part of our memories. Like we're dancing together and
Core memories.
it's
That's
a core
it.
memory.
They'll
So
they'll remember it for the rest of their life. They'll go
I
back and be
really
like, "Oh,
hope
do you
so.
remember, mommy, when we used to dance in the living room or in the kitchen?"
And it's
Yeah.
funny because back last summer we were doing renovations and we took the kids with us to Home Depot. And we're walking around and we ended up being in like the shower stalls. And yesterday, my youngest is like, Mommy, do you remember when we went to the store and we got inside the shower and we're doing a dance party? That was
Yeah, there
last
you
summer.
go.
She still remembers.
I have two last questions for
Yeah.
you. The number one being, if there's a woman out there who's going through something similar,
Mhm.
what's your advice for that
Mhm.
person who's just learned
Yeah.
that her baby wasn't going to come home with them from the
Yeah.
hospital, or yeah, is passing at home. What would you
Mhm.
recommend for them? What's your advice to
Well,
feel better at some point?
first thing would be just breathe through it. Because nothing I say is going to make it better.
Mhm.
Nothing is going to make it better. Just breathe through it. And sometimes it's a matter of not just getting through the day, but getting through the hour and the minute. It's 1 minute after the other. And eventually the day is going to pass. And we're hoping tomorrow's going to be better. And sometimes it's not, but that's okay. And then there's going to be another day and another day. And holding on to the belief that you don't know how, you don't know what it's going to look like, but you will be okay. You will be okay.
And the sun's going to shine again at
Yeah,
some point.
it will. It
Mm-hmm.
will.
Ooh, wow. I like to end this podcast with being constructive. I mean, we've been quite constructive so far,
Mhm.
but I know you do your coaching business and you
Mhm.
help others become the best version of themselves. What is one goal that you'd like to achieve for today
Mm.
or the future? Whether it's your coaching business or something else that you would like to achieve. Where is Jessie gonna make her mark in this
Oh,
lifetime?
such a powerful question. My mission is for women to, and funny enough, the title of this podcast is A Woman's Spark. But my mission is to help women to revive their spark
Mm-hmm.
and for them to live boldly and to find serenity, whatever that means for them. So, no matter
Mm.
what has happened, no matter the challenge, do know that it doesn't have to be this way and things can be different. You can literally pack up and redesign a completely different life, and things can be different despite what happened. Although it is devastating, although you can't go back and you can't make it better, but you can create something different, not better, but different from
Mm-hmm.
what it is now. And that's up to you. It might take some time, but it is possible. So you
Yeah.
just have to find the right people that are going to support you on that journey.
Would you like to leave us your website?
Yes, of course.
Because
So,
I highly recommend your services for the talks we've had. Is just very uplifting. So, what's your website, Jessie?
thank you so much. So to connect with me, you can go online to jessielegent.com. So that's Legent. On social media, it's Coach Jessie L. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, as well as LinkedIn, you are able to connect with me. Send me a DM and I'll take care of the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessie. Thank you so much for your story. It couldn't have been easy to talk about.
Mm,
That part where we talked about the funeral. So,
yeah.
thank you for having the courage to do that
Mm,
and to share. And I know this will help other women. I don't know who, but
mm,
if people can come out of this and really just take in the advice you've given to us and your experience that you've shared, it's
mm.
definitely going to help other people. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me.
To all you beautiful ladies out there, I hope you can take in all this knowledge and apply it to some of your own experience and
Mm,
life quakes. If you've lost a child or someone close to you, I want to share my sincerest apologies, my
mm.
sincerest sympathies to you and your family, because it's clearly a hard bridge to cross. So I'm sending you my love and a giant hug. This is it for us for today. Tune in every week on your favorite podcast platform. If you want to get involved with the Be Guided, Be Inspired community and you want to share what kind of impact you've had on others because of your experience, or you're currently going through a tough time of your own, come and meet us on our platform at www.beguidedbeinspired.com and write us and we'll connect together. Thank you for listening. Keep sparkling, you beautiful women. See you next time. Love to you all. Bye.